We've gone over tons of SUPERVIVE shit on this channel. I'm talking items, powers, beginners tips and tricks, rank up tips, and more, but at the end of the day, you are going to have to follow through and win fights. That's just how you win in SUPERVIVE. So let's not waste any time. Let's talk about 5 mechanics you need to know in order to win more games in SUPERVIVE. The first set of mechanics we are going to talk about today pertains to movement, regarding 2 techs that are an absolute must in order to live over the abyss, and that is mantling and feathering your glider. Mantling is really important because it will allow you to close the distance without getting spiked, especially against a character like Hudson or Ghost that fire a consistent stream of bullets. On top of this, if you get KP or Brawl Slammed and Mantle at the same time, you can actually save yourself from getting spiked into the abyss. It will definitely take practice, but this can be super helpful. You can even use Grapple into a power that channels, like Nuke or Chonker, to send yourself flying into the air to engage if you were an absolute movement nerd like myself or Anion. Shout out to her for sending me this. This is incredibly niche and difficult, but super nice if you were on a character like Oath that wants to engage with ease. The other tech you need to know over the abyss pertaining to movement is feathering your glider. I made this graphic a while back that explains how to do it exactly. Essentially, you let yourself fall into the abyss, then glide, and release right as you are about to reach the max height of the glider to send yourself flying upward. Not only does this save your glider fuel to traverse long stretches of abyss, it can also be used to eat food while in the air and even launch yourself over the forge next to the heart along with other areas on the map. Both of these movement techniques will level up your movement, which can keep you alive for longer and inevitably land you more kills, thus winning more games. The next mechanic we are going to talk about involves the new quest system that was added with open beta. This guy gives a bunch of different quest objectives to choose from in exchange for rewards. The 2 that I want to highlight are Brawlers, but most definitely Vault Hunters. What this quest gives you, at least now before it gets changed probably, is a consumable book that gives 150 XP to each player on your team. This means that you can drop the book to your other teammates, and since 300 XP is all you need to get from level 4 to level 5, this means that on day 1, you can get level 5 on 2 of your teammates by doing what you already should be doing, opening a vault, provided that the quest is picked up beforehand. This is a very important part of early game macro, and while it might be changed later, it is extremely important that you pick up these quests and complete them. The other quest that is worth your time is the Brawlers quest that gives your team a Mega Shard after defeating 3 enemy opponents. This is super strong as you can essentially speedrun all of your items to blue evolutions, which makes the game feel a whole lot easier. The quest I don't care to ever pick up is the quest that forces you to kill creeps. It is just a waste of time that detracts you from getting all of the other quests that matter more, and all it does is give you Vive Brew that you would already get from killing mobs to begin with. The Mega Boar is alright, but takes a really long time, which leads to a tempo loss, especially when you could just path to a shop and get greens there for cheap. The next and third mechanic I swear I do not see enough players utilizing is dropping their powers, specifically Guardian Angel and Touch powers. At this point, I feel like a lot of people know about the Guardian Angel technique, but if you don't, it's where you die, you drop your Guardian Angel, and then your teammate picks it up, taps you, and voila, you are up alive and kicking again. The crazy thing is that this doesn't work on just GA. It works for powers like touch powers. Yes, this means you can drop your touch power, pick it up, and bypass the cooldown time you had before and immediately apply the effect again to all of your teammates. This surely may get patched if a dev sees this video, but it's still in right now and makes these powers seriously good. Lastly, if you die in a safe space in the fight, have good powers without a power user, and your teammate could make use of them, it could be the play to drop a good power for them. Just keep in mind, enemies could stop all of these plays by simply just picking up the power, and powers keep cooldowns between players. So the touch power tech doesn't work for other powers like hover wings, for example. Just keep this in mind and try to help your teammates with your powers while you're dead. SUPERVIVE has a really interesting drop phase since it is a top-down game. Because of this, there there aren't any mechanics that will allow you to get to the ground any faster. So you really have to optimize the drop to get to the ground as fast as possible. So for example, if you want to drop for a specific mob camp, instead of dropping directly on top of it, try dropping a healthy amount before it and then using the drop pod to fly to your location of choice. This will allow you to outpace your opponents and will lead to better early games. The other thing to think about on the drop phase is to utilize air rings or the train to get to specific parts of the map faster. There isn't really a mechanic I have to associate with it, but these are the rings along Vanegrove, by Kobayashi, Ematek, and the bottom of Mage Bog. These are all ways to get to where you need to go and outpace your enemies, which will win you games. The last mechanic you need to know about is something that oddly goes overlooked, and that is the reality that you were playing a battle royale game most of the time when you were playing SUPERVIVE. Yeah, this means you can get third party, yeah, play UAVs, whatever. But no, we are talking about the inevitable situation where there are 3 squads left in a smaller circle. The important thing in situations like these is to not be the squad in the middle ever, and to only engage if you think you can eliminate an enemy team extremely quickly and get your resets fast. Too many times have I seen people throw games away because they just see a team that is weak and engage on them, but then get thirded, cry, and blame the game mode, instead of having the patience to control the fights and win the game. The problem is that if you have characters like Felix, Brawl, or Jin, for example, it can be difficult in the late game scenarios that you find yourselves in to really do anything. You can't really poke anyone in neutral fights because your character makes it so that you either engage or do nothing. In these situations, it's usually something that you could be doing better in the early game. Maybe focus on having that better early game so you can kill squads faster in order to avoid being in the situation where there are a ton of teams in smaller circles. That being said, when you play characters like Myth, Zeph, and Celeste, it is generally better for you to get into the late game circles with tons of teams because you can take advantage of the stalemates much more. Playing to your character's strengths and weaknesses is something that doesn't really matter all that much now, but I'm telling you, it most definitely will in the future. Thinking about the game in this way will inevitably help you when you get into stronger lobbies with better players. I could and probably will make a video about this in the future, but for the time being, make sure you avoid being in the middle as much as possible when it comes to 3 squad situations. And there you have it. These are the 5 mechanics that you need to know in order to go from losing games in SUPERVIVE to locking in and catching W's, thus ranking up. If there are any mechanics in this video that you want me to make a separate video on, let me know in the comments. That being said, thank you guys all so much for watching, but until next time, I've got to peace out and Paz out. I'll see you in the next one.